Because she's pretty nice and she's pretty smart. And if you listen to her, you won't go far wrong. Did you get it right at home?
It was great. And a couple of other famous kids people. Well, certainly Jim Breslin was oftentimes on the air as one of our important personalities. And here's Jim right now.
Jim?
Well, we saw a fantastic amount of talent that went by, but I think right next to me now is top talent. The top talent, because these people here are at the top. They were here when we went on the air. Right next to me is Earl Keyes, who started with us. And Earl now is Mr. Jingling. But Earl, when you came over to our place, how did you start?
I started by putting WEWS on the air 1 month before the television station went on. I was a director of WEWS FM, which I don't suppose anybody ever remembers, but those initials became a great opening for a wonderful career. FM. We were upstairs, and you had to stumble over old piles of lumber and things to get to our control room, but we played records out there, and were we ever glad to get letters. Wow.
Well, now when you got into television, who was that fellow that used to be Mr. Nicholsworth with?
Well, that was Mr. Nicholsworth. I was Mr. Nicholsworth with Captain Penny. But I worked with Bob Dale, a wonderful,
Pop.
Yes, I was Pop then. I used to talk to him over the PA system because we didn't have time to plan the shows any other way. So we'd work them out as we went along, you know.
Yes.
Bob was one of the, I think, real, genuine talents in early television, and of course he's still at it, I think, out in San Diego.
And our other bit of talent is over here on the other side, Lynn.
Some bit.
My golly, Lynn was our first bit of real big talent, and Lynn and his wife Vivi put on the most fantastic show. Tell them about that.
Well, we had the Rogers Jewelry Show. It was the first sponsored program in Cleveland. Then I had Uncle Leslie, a children's show. I think, that's my dear wife and myself back there. That was before I dyed my hair gray. And
now it's just dyed.
And then we had Take 5. Remember that?
Oh,
he directed that with Frankie Straussick.
And there
we are.
Larry Adler.
Wow. That was a long time ago.
Paul Draper is the dancer over there. You were interviewing them.
I had one interview with a guy that just came from Russia, and he said, you tell me one word. Everybody tell me new word. I learn new word from everybody. And I said, I'll talk to you and teach you a new word just as soon as I get through talking to this doctor about menopause. And he said, menopause. I know menopause. 2 cities above Chicago.
Yeah, that's right. Len used to interview the people on the show.
Lip sync?
I did. I did invent lip sync.
That was a great.
You were the one that gave me a wind up when I was doing the lip sync.
Well, we just got one here coming up, Len, and now
Jim,
this is the top talent that we had here, and now Fred's going to show us some more. Back to you, Fred.
What we're going to show you right now are a couple of the top executives. 2 of the general managers of our competitive stations in this television market are here with us tonight. Both alums of our television station, my dear friend Betty Cope. We worked together way back in 1966. Betty Cope was the general manager and president of Channel 25, and there's old buddy Jack Moffat, general manager of Channel 43.
Thank you. Yes. Good to be back. A lot of pleasant memories over the last 35 years.
Wonderful memories.
Betty, tell us, I got to ask you to tell about the horse riding to work that day in that 1950 snowstorm.
Snowstorm hit on Thanksgiving night. And at that point, I was directing my first show, which was a Santa Claus show. And I happened to be married to the guy who was Santa Claus at the time. The snowstorm hits. I am living at Shaker Square. We had one engineer in a transmitter building who slept in overnight because he couldn't get out. Nobody could get into the station. I'm living at Shaker Square. I'm thinking, how do you possibly get downtown? How do you tell the kids Santa Claus isn't going to make it in a snowstorm? So we got horses from the Riding Academy and rode downtown and got the station on the air and put Santa Claus on the air, and I can't tell the story that fast. Fred, you're running through time.
And Jack, what did you do in those early days?
Well, Fred, I started out as a page boy. In fact, 35 years ago tonight, I was a first page boy when we first went on the air. With a little uniform and 150 pounds taking people around the station. Now I'm getting paid a little more, but I still take people around the station, but it's a different station.
Jack, thank you.
It's awfully nice to be with you all.
Good
Thanks
to
very
have
much.
you here, both of you, really. And good to have you in our city.
Congratulations.
Happy 70.
Jack,
yes,
Jack Moffat, Betty Cope. Here's another guy who remembers something about our old place.
What was I doing in 1947? I had I had just graduated from high school, and I was about to go to college, and I got my very first job in a radio station as a mailroom boy, and they used to let me do the FM weather forecast to a couple of farmers and lost geese in central New York. Nobody was listening, but that means that we sort of share an anniversary. I have been working in the broadcasting business for 35 years, and TV5 has been at it for 35 years. So mutually, congratulations to you. I'm happy to join in a happy anniversary celebration to TV5.
Coming up next, Ted Koppel, Bill Butel, Dorothy Fulheim, and the Eyewitness News team.
Pat Menarson and Joel Rose have joined us here. And look, Pat, I've got a copy of The Plain Dealer. Look at that. December 17th, 1947.
That's when we went on the air.
Yep, that was the day.
Back then, people got most of their news from newspapers, but since then, of course, television's earned a place of its own in journalism.
And Scripps Howard, of course, was a newspaper outfit.
That's right.
They were, I guess, one of the most important of the newspaper operators. And you got your start. You were a print guy.
I started in the Associated Press.
Yeah.
Started in the Associated Press. Moved to television about a year ago. There are some similarities between them. Both do try very, very hard to convey needed information as succinctly as possible, as quickly as possible.
I don't know how many television stories we've covered over the years, how many stories, but it would be hard.
I'm here to tell you we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
As with any other American city, they've been stories of triumph and tragedy, of great achievement and disappointing failures.
In TV5's 35 years on the air, Cleveland has borne witness to the personal achievements of men like Frank Lausche. He was the mayor when TV5 went on the air. He later served 2 terms as governor. The city's also borne witness to what was, in the 60s, the failure of blacks and whites to live in harmony. Huff, 1966. The police try to make routine arrests, but tensions, long bottled, explode, and a devastating riot follows. It fell to Carl Stokes, the first black elected mayor of a major American city, to rebuild Cleveland's image and finances. Just when many thought he was succeeding, came the Glenville riots. Soon afterward, Stokes fell from the city's favor. Ralph Perk entered office promising an end to racial violence, but he busied himself instead with a massive reconstruction of Hopkins Airport. Neighborhood differences still persisted when he passed the torch to Dennis Kucinich. As for Kucinich, it was almost as if his middle name was Trouble. The city lurched from one crisis to another, none greater than that December day in 1976 when a penniless Cleveland slid into default. Most believe that Cleveland's on the rebound now, and that much of the credit belongs to this man, incumbent Mayor George Voinovich. Even his critics acknowledge, albeit grudgingly sometimes, that in his low-key way, Voinovich has been largely responsible for the start of a downtown renaissance. Over the years, Cleveland has served as backdrop for a number of important national events. There was the Carter-Reagan debate in 1980, the first between presidential candidates since the now famous series of face-offs between Richard Nixon and John Kennedy 20 years before. There wasn't any clear winner to the Carter-Reagan debate, although Reagan, of course, won the election. Over the years, Cleveland has also been an important rallying point for the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King Jr. visited here often to speak of his dreams. 1979, court-ordered busing begins in Cleveland. It comes off with hardly a hitch. Maybe, just maybe, in some measure because of what happened one day a month before on the Detroit Superior Bridge. East and West Siders met in the middle of the bridge that day, solemnly shook hands, pledged themselves to nonviolence, no matter their views on busing, and prayed. But Cleveland has felt the backwash of war in the 35 years that we've been on the air, war on other shores. First, there was Korea. Many of Northern Ohio's best and brightest fought there. Some died, others were taken prisoner. Dorothy Fulheim went to nationalist China in the mid-50s after Korea to interview, among others, 2 Americans who said they'd been brainwashed by the communists. That was but one of many trips for the grande dame of Cleveland broadcasting. She's gone to almost every corner of the globe. The 60s brought with them the backwash from another ravaged place, a place called Vietnam. Nowhere was the division sharper or more painfully drawn than on the campus of Kent State University.